Hi, I'm Dion, the founder of Live Well, Love Well, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. So today I have a special guest with me, my boo. Woo woo.
I'm in here.
And we are on here today to share a little bit about how we sought to honor God in our dating relationship. So I thought it could be cool to have him here with me. I'll just start off by saying that, by the time that I met Brian, we were in seminary. I was in my first year. Brian was in his last. And I had gotten to a place in my walk with the Lord where I was tired of doing relationships the way that everybody else was doing them. I was tired of just not honoring God in my dating relationships. And in fact, when I met Brian, when I came to divinity school, I was in a relationship that was just a mess, and we were not honoring God. And God made it very clear while I was at Duke that he was calling me out of the relationship. So I got out of it, but I was at a place in my walk with the Lord where I desperately wanted to honor him and to please him. And if I was going to get back into another relationship, I did not want it to be the same. But I didn't really have a blueprint for what that was supposed to look like. And then this fine brother came along.
That's
and,
right.
And he saw me and he was like, "Hey girl, I want to get your number."
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I said, actually.
No, it's not. It's not. But by the time we met, and it was clear that we were really drawn to one another, we knew that we had to do things differently. You want to say a little bit more?
I think relationships are, of course, the reason why you're watching this is because you know how difficult and how complex relationships can be. And relationships really, they need definition, right? And so I think one of the key areas for Dion and I was defining our relationship. Of course, we started out just kind of trying to get to know each other, trying to connect with each other, and to go out, go to a coffee shop, go grab some dinner, go to a movie. But we recognized that, of course, the most important thing, or one of the most important things, was for us to define where we were in relation to one another. Yeah. Partly because our feelings began to grow, our connection began to grow toward each other, and it's very easy to operate in an undefined state. Yes. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
Listen. This is for the sisters and for the brothers. But for the sisters and for the brothers, let me highlight the brothers real quick.
Please highlight my brothers.
For the brothers, if any brothers are watching, oftentimes we like to stay in an undefined zone because that means there are not really clear boundaries. That means I can talk to you over here and talk to somebody else over here. That means I'm not locked in. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of times for men, we don't want to be locked in. We want that kind of freedom to decide where we're going, what's next. And so defining the relationship can be somewhat constricting for us. But for the true man of God, that definition is essential, and he loves definition, right? We love definition in other areas of our lives. We don't want to go to work and be like, "Oh, well, you just pay me whatever you think is good." No, we want a defined amount that we're going to be paid. Right. These are my responsibilities. Yeah. Don't be asking me to do this when that's not on my job description. Yeah. But in relationships, we say, well, let's keep it unclear. Let's just keep it real easy. It's all good. Nah, it's not all good, because all of a sudden you're going to be caught up in a mess you didn't plan on being in.
Yeah, that's good. So for us, just related to the defining the relationship, we spent time together in coffee shops getting to know one another, and it was clear in our interactions that we liked one another, we were attracted to each other, and so, as my husband said, we knew that if we were going to continue doing what we were doing, there had to be some clarity around what we were in and where we were going. We did not have a blueprint, as I said before, and so the way that we were able to define it was by seeking God. We spent time together praying and asking the Lord to help us to...
Wait a minute. We ain't spending too much time praying together.
Not too much, but we did spend some time, right, babe?
True. But I want to make a quick point here. Prayer is an intimate act.
Yeah.
Especially when you start to go deeper in prayer and really in marriage, prayer is one of the primary ways where God joins a man and a woman's heart together intimately. Yeah. And so in dating relationships, while it is important to pray together, it's also important not to get too deep in your prayers together.
Very true.
Not to be all up holding each other hand. Oh, let's pray, baby. No, you can't do all that because it's gonna draw you real close together.
Yes.
And then that prayer intimacy really leads to other places, which I believe God designed it to do so in the marriage relationship.
Yeah.
Therefore, in a dating relationship, yes, you want to spend a few moments praying with each other. But your primary prayer ought to be separate, and then you can come together and share what the Lord has been speaking to you, what you've been journaling while you've been praying by yourself.
Yes.
And not while, hey, we just gonna come together, baby,
and
we're gonna pray for 3 hours, and we just gonna let the Spirit move, and then
move all over.
Right, then it ain't good.
That's not good.
So we definitely prayed, but again, a lot of times it was us, praying separately, coming back together and saying, hey, this is what I sense the Lord is saying.
Yeah.
What did you hear?
Yeah.
And then again, we have that DTR. Y'all know it, the defining the relationship conversation. But we thought it was important to have it multiple times in the relationship.
That's right.
So that you got to have it, out the gate. After you realize, hey, we are connecting, we are going to the movies, or we are hanging out, we went to dinner, whatever. Now, let's have a convo about what do we understand relationships to be?
Yeah.
What's my goal in terms of overall relationships? Because you don't want to be in something where your goal is, hey, my goal is marriage, and the next serious relay I want to be in, I want it to be my spouse.
Right.
And the other person is thinking, well, I'm just still trying to find myself, and I'm still trying to see where my direction is, and so we're just going to see where it goes.
Yeah.
That kind of lack of definition always leads into a danger zone.
Yeah. And so, okay, last thing I'll say, because we need to move on.
All right.
Last thing I'll say, in terms of defining the relationship, for us, it was also, and I don't know how soon this came about for you. I feel like there was a clear point for the both of us where we knew that as believers, the end goal was marriage, but we needed to prayerfully seek God about whether or not he was calling us to marriage. Right. Yeah. So we weren't just trying to date just to date. We weren't trying to, be friends with benefits. We were trying to be intentional about seeking the Lord on whether or not he was calling us to marriage.
Right. And I would say real quick, there were stages to that. So it wasn't like, okay, we started dating and then it's like, okay, we're supposed to be married.
Right.
And that's where the focus is.
Right.
The initial focus was, we were friends and we were trying to get to know each other. And so we were being very intentional about trying to get to know each other and to see if there was compatibility between us as friends, right? And so then once we decided to, and we sensed that we were moving from there to a more kind of exclusive relationship with one another, then in that season the goal was to pray, God, is this supposed to be my spouse? Right. And then we would move on from there.
Right. So, and then from there, right, is this supposed to be my spouse? And then from there, when is engagement supposed to be a part of this process? So we were talking at every juncture.
Right. Yeah, we can do another section.
Okay, all right, we'll do another.
We gotta go to the next joint.
Okay.
Is boundaries that we set.
So I'll just say, again, I opened up, I said that I had been in relationships before where I was not honoring God. And so while I may have gone into those relationships saying, I don't want to have sex, or I don't want to be intimate in different ways, without any clear boundaries, I found myself.
Let me make it clear. I want to have sex, but I know that's not what's going to honor the Lord.
No.
I'm talking about me.
Oh, you. Okay. But for me, for me, there was this desire not to have sex, but I did not have any boundaries. I did not have anything in place to prevent me from doing that. And so at the end of the day, it was just a lot of talk.
Right. And so, again, we got a lot to share. And there's a lot, of kind of biblical background. But I don't like to just operate off of, hey, these are God's rules.
Right.
Don't have sex.
Right.
Don't kiss. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But to understand that, I had to understand that Dion was not mine. Right. As we were dating, she was not mine. God had not given her to me in that sense yet. And so, because of that, certain boundaries or lines that we crossed would blur what God wanted to do in her life and what he wanted to do in my life. And so I had to understand out the gate, okay, the reason why I'm not going to have sex with this woman before marriage is because that creates a bond and a tie between us that God really desires for her to have with her husband and me to have with my wife. And as much as we think, oh, we can put it in the back of our mind, it don't really matter. These are connections that as a pastor, I counsel couples sometimes and individuals on issues they are going through from past relationships that they didn't realize because they were so interconnected.
That's good.
And so the point of boundaries is really to make sure that I don't get too deeply interconnected with somebody who the Lord has not given to me eternally or given to me for a lifetime, right? And so that's what makes boundaries so important and so crucial in a dating relationship.
So that was good. And so I'll just say, when it was clear for us that we sensed the Lord calling us into a relationship, in light of what Brian said, in light of us recognizing that, if we were to engage sexually, it would bind us in some ways that God had not called us to be bound, not being husband and wife. We knew it was important for us to establish certain boundaries, to edify one another and to honor God. And so one of the things that we established was, what was it, like a curfew? I don't know how to say it. I'll just say, you're looking at me crazy. Maybe.
I know curfew.
No, okay.
No. There were times
that we knew we could hang out with each other and times that we knew we could not.
Well, essentially, right? I mean, part of what we say is we try to set up cutoff times, right? So I'm not going to be at your house alone after 10 o'clock, or after whatever time it might be. And really, there was really no real reason for us to be in each other's homes, by ourselves, because again, we knew we were setting ourselves up for failure. We were attracted to each other. We were growing closer together, and so this is getting close to the danger zone. Here's the deal, and I use this example. Let me preach to y'all for a second. If I say I'm not going to go to sleep, I need to stay awake, then I need to set some boundaries that will help me not go to sleep. Right? One of them is I'm not going to get on the bed and close my eyes. Right? Because I recognize if I get on the bed and close my eyes, I'm about to go to sleep.
Right.
And so if I say in a relationship, I don't want to engage sexually with this person, I need to set a boundary that when I cross that line, even though maybe I haven't done anything wrong, I recognize I'm getting too close to where I don't want to be. Right? So if I say I'm not trying to have sex with this woman, then I say, you know what? A good boundary is I don't want to be in her house by myself with her. Because if I'm in her house, even if I ain't done nothing wrong, I'll be like, you know what? I ain't supposed to be up in here because I'm getting close to the boundary. Right? We understand that in terms of not wanting to go to sleep, right? Don't lay down on that couch. It's going to be a wrap, right? And so we in the house watching a movie together at night, it's going to be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. And we had some of those close calls because I'm like, all right, let's just watch this movie. We can chill out. And it ain't going to be good.
And then, I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing that we did was we didn't do a lot of kissing. I may have wanted to kiss the bruv, and I think a couple times I tried to. If I let him
I ain't even gonna say nothing right there.
I tried. My old nature came out.
No, and so right. So we'll say there were people, you know, we know people who have actually not kissed until their wedding day, mm-hmm. and that, you know, I praise God for them. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing feat. Yeah. We did not engage sexually until our wedding day. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we had some close calls, but
can you clarify that? Because
well, I mean, I think there were times definitely where we were kissing and touching, right. And we realized again in those moments, like, okay, we know we've already crossed the boundary, right. and we don't want to go, you know, any further, right? And so boom, we were able, by the grace of God, in some of those scenarios, just to say, all right, boom, I'm out, and I'm like, all right, I'm home, to go right? Home. Yeah. Which also was good for us we set up a boundary where we were never anywhere traveling with each other or in other spaces where we were sharing the same room, bed, right?
People go on trips with their, you know, with their boyfriend or what have you. But we said, if we are going to do this, if we're going to do this well, we can't do that. We can't go on trips together. You can't spend the night at my house. I can't spend the night at your house. Right. And so we didn't incorporate those things.
Right. So we got to keep moving. And so part of the way that we remained or stayed, you know, or kept our boundaries was by having also some good accountability around us, right? You know, we had some folks who loved us and who loved God, and they helped to keep us accountable in different areas. Now, again, this has to be an effort on both the part of the man and the woman, because it can't just be, oh, the sister trying to be holy, but I'm trying to figure out my way to get in there, man, because you know I'm trying to do my thing, right? I'm trying, you know. But so we had good accountability. We had friends who we shared very clearly, like, this is what we're trying to do, and we had friends who also had walked down those roads before, right? And people think, oh, they y'all the anomaly, y'all the only ones. No, there are tons of couples. That's right. You know, tons of folks we went to school with from all different backgrounds. But a bunch of ours were some of our good friends who said, no, we did not cross those lines, and this is how we did it. Right. And so we asked them for prayer, for support, for wisdom in that way.
And can I also just say that we gave them permission to get in our business, right? So that meant that we had to be open and honest with them about our weaknesses and our struggles. So if I knew that because of how Brian and I were growing, that my attraction for him was building, I had to say to Kisa, or I had to say to Bronson, look, I really like this brother. I'm physically attracted to him. We are hanging out this night. We're going to the movies. I need you to call me several times during our time together to make sure, you know, that I'm not going back to his house after we leave this movie theater.
Right. And what you saying, my friends, I'm grown. I don't need nobody calling me. I'm grown, right? But what happens then is you slip and fall, and your heart gets interconnected, and then I'm doing counseling with sisters or others who are in difficult places because of past pain, right, in relationships. And then I gotta tell the sister, don't blame this brother for what the last brother did, or how deeply you were interconnected with them. And of course, God can heal those wounds, and I wanna just speak that over you, that no matter where you are, no matter what you've done in the past, no matter what you're even caught up in right now, God can heal and deliver. But that's why Galatians 5:1 says, it is for freedom that God has set you free. So he didn't set you free from it so that you could go and get caught up in it again, but he set you free so that you would not be bound again.
Amen.
And so that accountability is going to be important. There's much more we could share, but we got to hit you up on part 2.
All right. So you'll come back, right?
Maybe.
Yes. All right. So
I do live here.
He'll come back for a video. It's hard to get him to do a video, you all, because his schedule is crazy. But thanks, babe. I appreciate you sacrificing to do this. So if you are watching this video and you were blessed by it, I want to encourage you to subscribe. And then I will link social media handles in the description box to follow us on social media. Love you guys. God bless. Talk to you soon.
Peace.